I would like to tell and say thank you for the invitation to this conference. There is only one active politician from Europe, from NATO, because we need to talk between each other. If we do not speak to each other, and something else will speak in turn instead of us, and which will not be good for all of us. And the search of optimal system of European security, which would provide to the peoples of Europe peace and prosperity, has been in place for quite some time. And actually, there are also attempts to destroy this peace, fragile peace, in favor to dominate of one nation, in order to also deploy and exploit the natural resources and human capital. So thus, Europe for many years suffered from permanent wars, which is the background of its history. And we can say that the time without war in Europe are the stages where the peoples and the states and unions, economically and morally, were destroyed and were unable to continue combat activities. And all European nations were involved in these activities, including Russians and the Russian nation, and also as a protector from the invasion of the tribes from Asia in ancient times, and also defeated the attacks of the Western neighbors, and also as participants of their national geopolitical interests. Since the end of the Second World War, from the viewpoint of a classical lesson of Clausewitz, war is continuation of policy by other means, and one of the basic concept, achievement of political aims threatens the biological foundation for existence of human beings. The war between superpowers is the threat not only to destroy the enemy, but also it means that it is necessary to gain its territory and complete destruction of both parties in the nuclear age, with great probability it may lead to the destruction of the human civilization on the planet of Earth. And the thoughts about probable victory in thermonuclear war are totally inappropriate and extremely dangerous for further development of our planet. The armed conflicts in Europe were escorted to establish a system of warranties which could be provided solutions and prevent military conflicts. However, the backbone was based on prevention of the attempt. That is why all great projects to sustain peace were not successful. And if you study the history of 2000 years since the Vienna Congress of 1815 and the Sacred Union up to 1888, the so-called European Concert, and Versailles system of the League of Nations and Yalta Conference of 1945, which ended up with the United Nations formation. The system of prevention of armed conflicts never became perfect, and the experience from Vienna Congress, enriched by the danger of the First and Second World Wars, created a reliable hope to maintain new world order in the framework of UN and the system of international law, which was guaranteed by the Security Council of UN, and the ability to use it provided the peaceful life for Europe for several generations. If the peoples of Western Europe welcomed the destruction of bipolar world and the end of the Cold War, but the political map of Europe was dramatically changed as a disintegration of bipolar system, and these processes ended up in Europe, which were initiated during the First World War, and the future historians, they will consider the development of the world since 1914 as one war, which ended up in 1990. And after the disintegration of bipolar system and termination of the Cold War, the last nations of Europe, they tried to obtain sovereignty. And those Slovak Republic ceased to be illegal part of the and forgotten part of the Czech Republic and became the independent state. And disintegration of the polar world and release of Central Europe brought about all conflicts which appeared which emerged in the 19th century, which led to the disintegration of Austro-Hungarian Republic, and naturally many nations of Europe, since the beginning of the civil war in Yugoslavia, felt insecure and started to look for protection in front of the conflicts. And what was offered to the former members of the Warsaw Pact Treaty, that offer was not adequate, but at the same time the peoples of Middle Europe didn't feel comfortably, and they really felt a threat and were not developing properly, and that actually was why they decided to look towards NATO. When Czech Republic and Hungary joined NATO, there came the time for Slovakia, and when Slovak Republic joined NATO in 2005, there were no any grounds to assume that the joint security in Europe, guaranteed by OSCE and NATO, related between the pact and Russian Federation, will not last long. Just vice versa, the Slovak Republic historically, with a positive attitude towards Russia, hoped to make its input in stability towards the European continent, and finally it has all prerequisites to do that, because it becomes the fully accepted member of Western Christian civilization and also part of the Christian world, of Slavic world. And that was also confirmed and was reflected in our policy when organizing our historic summit in Bratislava in 2005. And the current situation and relations of NATO and Russia is not satisfactory. We are not happy with that. And there's a minimum number of people who we don't see any perspectives in continuous increase of tension between West and East. If somebody thinks that it will be more secure in Europe when different sanitary boundaries will be installed, it will contradict to the historical and actual reality. No boundaries and no cordons will destroy the fact that we are on the same continent, and security cannot exist only under conditions that everybody thinks safe. And there is no alternative to joint security, which will not impose sanctions, ultimatums, and threats, but will enter into a fair dialogue which will take into account all parties involved and will create the situation of peace and win-win situation.
We can rely only on just recognition of equality of all parties involved. And for that end, we need to really struggle for such a Europe where every country would be equal. Thank you very much for your attention.